Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law I don't care about her feelings when it comes to how my kids are treated by their cousins? My husband is my mother-in-law's child from her second marriage. She has 2 older children from her first marriage, and the 2 kids from the first marriage never accepted my husband. Now, according to my husband, as kids, they weren't inherently mean to him, just very distant and disinterested in a relationship with him. But they became more unkind to him as they all got older, and my husband tried to bridge the gap. At the time, his mom was very active in trying to stop that behavior and get the kids to accept my husband as their brother. My husband said she spent a long time trying to make things work, but they didn't. When my husband was 17, his sister got married and there was a big fight at his house between his mom and older siblings, where they said nothing she ever did made them love him, and they had no interest in having him as a brother. That they were fine when they were younger because they could ignore him a lot easier, but they never ever cared for him and would have been happy had he never been born. Despite this, my husband has tried to at least keep a civil relationship with them. It has on a few occasions seen their kids at family functions. We put a stop to contact completely though, when his brother's youngest, 7, spat at our 4-year-old during my husband's grandparents' anniversary barbecue in May. This was not the first time their kids had been mean to mine, but it was the first time they straight up defended the child's action in front of everyone as it not mattering, because in their family, our kids did not matter a single bit. Mother-in-law was outraged, as were the rest of the people there, including the grandparents. But mother-in-law still expected us to try and promote a cousin relationship between our kids and my husband's siblings' kids. My husband told her he wanted to protect our kids from the rejection, and was done. She tried appealing to me as a mother, and how hurt her feelings were that her grandkids would grow on opposite side of a feud, which didn't work because as I told her that when it came to my children and how they are being treated, her feelings are nowhere near the priority list. I told her I understood it must be hard to have this happen with people you love, but she has got to accept that the family from her second marriage don't deserve to be punished for being part of the wrong marriage. She tried to dispute that, but it's true. Her kids never liked that she remarried after her divorce. And anyone born from or brought in from that remarriage is never going to be worthy or a real person in their eyes. They will always be an unwanted nuisance because of that. So it's time to cut the cord and remove that kind of energy from our lives. She's pissed that I dismissed her feelings in the way I did it, but my husband thanked me for having his back, and has been hearing from his mom that I'm an a-hole, which he told her wasn't true, and that she should listen to me. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. This is not like they got in a little pushing match at the barbecue. The kid spat in your kid's face. Kids don't naturally do that. He was encouraged to do that. His parents have taught him at a young age to hate his cousin, and that's sad. You're just protecting your kids. Also, was the second marriage the result of an affair? This type of hurt and hate isn't normal. The second marriage wasn't, no. From what I know, the first marriage ended because mother-in-law thought she could change her first husband, and anyone who knew them back then knew she was crazy and it would end badly, which it did. Not the a-hole. If your husband's half-siblings are so resentful, literally decades later, that their parents are no longer together, that they're encouraging their kids to take it out on a 4-year-old, there's something wrong with them. I can't even imagine an adult being that petty about something that happened, 25 years ago? The divorce was actually 30-ish years ago now. It confuses the hell out of me that they wouldn't take a step back and decide not to come when they hate my husband and our kids so much. Not an a-hole. His older siblings are a-holes, and while I don't think the mother-in-law is one and understand her wanting her grandchildren to get along as a family, it just won't happen anytime soon. And it's quite clear her eldest children have no interest in their brother's side of the family, so screw them. I only really found out as an adult that on my dad's side, we were never really accepted, because his mom hated my mom because she was his second partner to have kids. And my grandmother's eyes, only my 2 eldest brothers from my dad's first partner were her grandchildren. We never really saw that side of the family, so it never really came up. Just figured dad didn't get along with them or they lived further away. My brother's partner added one of our cousins on Facebook from my dad's side. She was adding all the extended family basically, wanting to basically be part of the family, and was point blank told by her that she doesn't care about her, because my brother and I aren't really part of the family, and only our oldest brothers are her real cousins, or something along those lines. So that's stuff that has basically been ingrained in my cousins' heads though their entire lives, and I don't see it's ever changing. It's toxic, and best to just cut them out. I don't think it'll ever happen. I see this just passing through the generations for a long time to come. The level of disdain they have for my husband and children is shocking, given the reason. Like, I have heard of people having no interest in their half-siblings or step-siblings, or even resenting/disliking them. But to the level of hatred they show for innocent children goes beyond anything I have seen before. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not returning my rings to my dead husband's family? Danielle and I were married for 1.5 years, together for 7. I received an engagement ring, wedding ring, and eternity band from him as a wedding anniversary gift for 1 year married. Danielle died in an accident, not sharing what due to privacy, at the beginning of the year, and my heart was broken. It still doesn't feel real, but I'm trying to live life the way he'd want me to every day. I haven't had much contact with his family since the funeral 6 months ago. I suppose we were all hurting and need to heal. Then yesterday, my ex-sister-in-law messaged me on Facebook. I'm a bit of an overshare on Facebook, and they knew about my eternity ring as well as the other rings. My sister-in-law wants me to return all the rings to them, as they say that Daniel paid for them, and because he has died, they belong to the family. And my mother-in-law also told me to do this too. I've already given them back his childhood stuff he had, along with photos he had before I met him. But the rings are deeply sentimental to me. I'd be okay with giving them a plain wedding band, but the 2 others are beautiful, expensive, $19,000 combined, and remind me of the best time of my life. I'd give them my husband's wedding ring, but he was buried wearing it. Now I'm getting squeezed by his family to give them these rings, and I don't know if they just want them to sell or own or what. Sister-in-law even said she will look into law if I don't give them back, and that I'm an a-hole for keeping them out of the family where they belong. Daniel and I didn't have kids, so I suppose I'm no longer family. Am I the a-hole if I don't give the rings to my in-laws? Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. Asking for a widow's wedding ring 6 months after losing her husband is deeply messed up. I'd cut all ties with these people. Let your a-hole sister-in-law get a lawyer. It will be a waste of her money because those rings are yours. They were gifts. These people are disgusting. They aren't family heirlooms. They're just nice things they want to be able to pawn. Block all of them. Actually, I'd go ahead and hire a lawyer to send them a cease and desist letter for the harassment. The ex-in-laws have zero claim to these rings. They wouldn't have a claim even if they were heirlooms. The cruelty to a recent widow is astounding. I'd also go ahead and overshare this harassment on Facebook. Make sure you tag them as well. Not an a-hole. What? Yeah, he paid for them. As gifts for you. But as you were his spouse, his assets go to you anyway, unless he had a will that states otherwise. Where the hell are these people getting the idea they have any claim over anything of his, much less something as sentimental as wedding and engagement rings? Not an a-hole. And as for the legal threats, they can try, but they don't have a leg to stand on. They're not even his. They're hers. So awful. Honestly, your husband is gone. As sad as it is, cut ties with his family. That's so toxic. You were his wife, meaning his things now belong to you anyway. They were gifts. I hope you can get through this. It must be awful, but keep those rings as memories. Not an a-hole. I'm highly considering it. It is so strange, as this nastiness only happened after he passed. They were great in-laws besides that, but this is starting to bother me. Do not give them your rings. You may be feeling pressured now, but you'll regret doing so the rest of your life. These people are grieving, but that's no excuse for this behavior. Stand your ground. If they threaten you with legal action again, tell them you'll file a restraining order for harassment. This is not what your husband would have wanted. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for prioritizing a baby blanket for my sister's baby over my sister-in-law's? So here's the deal. My sister found out she was pregnant back in November. It was a huge surprise, but such a good one. My sister was diagnosed with PCOS and endo when she was in high school, and her fertility was badly affected. She and her husband were trying for 6 years with no success. And then, surprise! She asked if I would make the baby a blanket because I started getting into making baby clothes and blankets at the start of the pandemic, and she wanted something from me for her baby. She offered to pay me, but I said it was a gift. And I started working on it with all my spare time because I'm still learning and growing. And when we found out my sister was having more complications and this would be her one and only, I decided to pour even more into it, making sure it's perfect for my nephew when he arrives. Now that they have a name, I can even start working on the name when I've finished the actual blanket. About 6 weeks after my sister told me she was pregnant, I found out my husband's sister is also expecting. Around 3 months into her pregnancy, she shared that she and her husband were struggling with money and asked if I could make her a blanket. I was honest that I couldn't guarantee I would have one ready for when baby is born, but I would get to work on one as soon as I could, and was clear it would be a few months. She asked why, and I explained I had already committed to making one for my sister, and was still so new I was taking my time and wanted to make sure it was perfect. My answer seemed to be okay with her, but then when she found out that I was true to my word and hadn't started in the new year, she was upset. It's been a thing a lot more lately because she keeps wanting a blanket to be ready and asking me about it. She told her family she was hurt that I was prioritizing my sister's over hers, and that she felt both should get the same time and attention. I feel bad because she and her husband are struggling more now. Long story, but one of their kids has some medical issues and they've had some house issues. But she has her family, and everyone is pitching in to help, and even my husband and I have given them money to help them out. My sister just has me, and our husbands, of course. But we come from parents who don't care, and she was always the big sister who was there for me, doing stuff for me. So I want to do this for her and for my nephew. And yet, I feel bad because my sister-in-law has told me I'm hurting her by prioritizing one over the other. She called me an a-hole the other day for prioritizing my nephew over my niece, which is how she sees it. And it's making me feel all the worse. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law is just entitled. I was thinking the same thing. She was working on her sister's first. So why should she have to drop working on her nephew's blanket, who would be their only child, just to start the sister-in-law so it would be ready in time for her baby to be born? I'm really curious as to why she thinks her baby, which won't be blood related to Opie and she already has a child Opie didn't make a blanket for, is more important than her sister's child, who will be her only child. It is a very generous gift Opie has agreed to. It is not needed before baby gets home. Baby can't even sleep unsupervised with a blanket, so it's not like a get this done or my baby will be cold thing. And yes, sister-in-law, Opie is prioritizing her actual sister over you. Get a grip. Not a-hole. You were already working on sister's blanket first anyways. It's common sense that you would start your sister-in-law's either later or after you finished your sister's blanket. Right. If she had been working on sister-in-law's blanket first and dropped it for her sister's blanket, I could understand her being hurt. Even then, stirring up drama wouldn't be okay, but feeling hurt would be natural. In this case, however, it's just entitlement. And I've made blankets that have taken me someone's entire pregnancy to finish. So if someone else comes up pregnant while making the blanket, they'll get a hat and maybe some matching booties. I can finish that in a couple days. Not an a-hole. Of course your sister is more important to you. Your sister-in-law is an entitled a-hole. Your sister asked first, and she's your sister. Keep going with your plan as you originally decided. You're not in the wrong. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to change my last name like my siblings? It's me, 16 male, and my 3 other siblings. Jordan, 19 male, my twin brother Louis, 16 male, and my sister Bella, 14 female. Our parents got divorced 4 years ago. My dad was cheating on my mom. He came out and told her, so they split. We were all mad at my dad for a while, especially me because we were always close, so it hurt knowing he did this. We didn't talk for a year as he said he'd give me space till I was ready. Then after that, we started talking again. He only had us few days out of the week, but that changed a while back. My brother and my sister decided they didn't want to go with him at all, so they're at mom's full time and he only sees them every other weekend. I'm the only one that wanted to get split custody, so like 1 week with him then 1 week mom, which they were all mad at. They still hate my dad for cheating, I get it, because to me I haven't looked at him the same, but not mad anymore because it happened already years ago. After they broke up, my mom started going out with my stepdad, Martin. They got married last year right before lockdown, but he was already living with us a long time. We don't talk much, but he's chill. They do more stuff with him than I do, but because they have more time than me, and they like him a lot. I do too. Before Father's Day, my siblings and my mom came to me about a surprise they wanted to do for Martin. And the surprise was all of us changing our last names to his. Everyone. But I said no, and said I like having my last name. They can do it obviously, but I'm not interested. That got everyone mad, especially my mom. She talks a lot of crap about my dad all the time, so she asked me why I still want to have a last name of a piece of turd. I told her he's still my dad. He cheated, but he still always tried to be a good dad, so I don't hold that against him anymore. We have these fights all the time whenever I'm going to his house, so I just got tired and ignored them. But they bugged me a lot about doing the change with them because it would mean a lot to Martin if we all did it. I wasn't even there for Father's Day. I went to my dad's, and they're mad I ruined it since they wanted it to be an everyone thing. But I'm the only one not changing my last name now. I don't know why they think I'm being an a-hole for not wanting to change my last name just because of what my dad did a long time ago already. It is not like I consider Martin my dad. But they acting like I am, so am I? Not an a-hole. Your dad might have cheated, but your mother is the a-hole for getting her kids in the middle of all of this. It's parental alienation. Yes, 100%. What Opie's mother is doing is emotional mistreatment. I hardly have a relationship with either of my parents due to alienation, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I'm sorry, Opie. I hope you have access to therapy. Not an a-hole. Not an a-hole. While your dad was a bad husband to your mom, you consider him to be a good father to you. If you want to keep his last name, that's perfectly fine. Even if your dad was terrible to you, if you don't want to change your last name, you don't have to. Yeah, like I know what he did was messed up, and took me a while to stop being mad at him for what he did. But at the end of the day, he's still a good dad. Not an a-hole. What will happen when Martin disappoints them or his relationship with your mom sours? What if Martin cheats on her in the future? I have a relative who was like this with their very blended family, basically pressing the kids to all change their last names till every single one of them did, even though everyone's other bio parent was still alive. I always thought it was not healthy. It isn't healthy. It's commonly done by people who try to raise the other parents. It's a toxic behavior often done by people who have a strange need for a partner.